So I was trying to prepare this part of the presentation, and three questions were really vexing me. One, how the hell do I explain everything that led up to this vision without sending everybody to sleep? Question two, how do you get 9 senior Epoch staff to agree on the contents of a presentation? And three, how do I make it so memorable that it's etched on the minds of each and every person in this room? Well, as we all know, getting even 2 senior people at Epoch to agree on anything is an impossibility. So 9, like really? All I can tell you is that some people are going to get a shock about what they're about to see. I have an unconventional way of answering the other 2 questions: Latin and ballroom dancing. So when I was younger, there was the forerunner of Strictly Come Dancing. It was called Come Dancing. It was presented by the older lady in the photo called Angela Rippon. I'm sure the older people here will remember that. Now, I saw the male professional dancers on there and I thought, I want to be one of those sexy Latin dancers with snake hips and gorgeous, scantily clad women draping their bodies over me. Now, for those of you not fixated on the pictures, I can hear what you're thinking. What on earth has this got to do with Epoch? Well, being a sexy Latin dance god was a vision I had for myself many, many years ago. What is our vision for Epoch? Well, 12 of us sat down to debate that very question for a whole day with an organisational development consultant. And the answer we came up with was make law easy. Because it sums up what we do as a group of people. Our technology, our legal content, our customer support. It's at the heart of what we do. It always has been, and it always will be. Making law easy is no endpoint, though. It's our DNA. As long as we're in business, that's what we're trying to do. In management speak, it's called a core purpose, and it doesn't change over time. Make law easy is Epoch's core purpose. But a good vision also has a number of other elements, one of which is a tangible goal. My dancing goal was to win competitions. It never quite happened. And when I look back, I have to conclude it was a very audacious goal. It was a massive challenge. And challenges are good because it sort of spurs people's on. They rise to a challenge, and many of history's greatest achievements have been a result of people rising to a challenge, proving the world was not flat. Space travel, air travel, the light bulb, the telephone. I could go on, the list is very long. Now, people at Epoch often commented that we never had a very clear goal. So as part of our vision, we set a 5-year goal, 5 in 5, to be making £5 million profit in 5 years' time. And yes, that is a very audacious goal. And we may well not reach it. Many companies that set audacious goals don't reach them, but many do actually come very close. And I've heard that within the space of a year, people often massively overestimate what they can achieve, but they overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but massively underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. I can tell you one thing, in my first year of Latin dancing, when sometimes it took me a whole record to work out which cha of cha-cha-cha to take my first step on, I never thought I'd be competing. But I was wrong. So 5 in 5 is a stretch, and it's supposed to be. There were people that thought maybe it's a bit too low. There were others that thought it was a bit too high. And 5 in 5 was where we settled. We think it is doable. So I set myself this goal of becoming a sexy Latin dance god and winning a competition. But as we all know, goals don't happen without action. In my case, I needed some proper dance shoes, which was the first thing my dance teacher told me, the best teacher I could afford, the lovely Camilla, lots of practice, and a partner. Before you can even start on the actions, though, you have to have some idea of where you're trying to get to. Now, in my case, I knew I was never going to be a professional Latin dancer. I wish I would, but I knew I was never going to be quite good enough, or even close. But there was a sort of a standard that I thought, if I can get there, I could consider myself a sexy Latin dancer. That would be enough for me. And in a different way, so is true with Epoch. So we sat down and tried to envision what would have to happen if we were making law easy and making £5 million profit in 5 years' time. We concluded it was about de-stressing legal services. So just making the process of creating legal documents easier and simpler for people. Making law more accessible, so we know there's loads of people that don't access legal services because they're either too expensive, too much hassle, or it's too time consuming. And we're about trying to make it easy for those people. Making Epoch the best known brand, so to the banks and insurers, making sure that people know about Epoch, and when they're trying to introduce services to their customers, it's us that's their first point of call. And for consumers and SMEs, making My Lawyer the best known and loved brand there is. Then we have security. So security is really a byproduct, but we're trying to work out, what do people actually get from creating a legal service? It's sort of like a peace of mind security thing. People need to have their legal stuff taken care of and they feel more comfortable as a result. So really as a byproduct for doing everything else, people will feel more secure. And then finally, staff. Having staff that feel challenged, rewarded and inspired, that really feel they're contributing to the company's success. So that's what where we'd like to be in 5 years' time. Now, from what I can gather, there's been a lot of discussion and even myth about what the values are. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, explain and try and dispel some of those myths. Values are the how. So in my dancing, how I got to be a competitive dancer was by hard work, determination, being very honest with the partners I didn't want to dance with because time was too short, constantly seeking and working on feedback. And let me tell you, when you're really bad at dancing, seeing yourself critiqued on DVD every week is not a pleasant experience. But that was how I got better, and those were values I didn't waver from. So values are the how you go about the task. For Epoch, it's about how we interact with each other, our customers and our suppliers. So we have a pyramid here that sort of make law easy at the top, that's our core purpose. We want to be making £5 million profit in 5 years' time. And in that time, what's going to happen? Well, we'll be de-stressing legal services, we'll be promoting access to law, we'll be creating great brands. People that use our services will be feeling secure, and our staff are going to be feeling rewarded, challenged and inspired. Now, what do we have to do? What do we have to do to achieve that? Well, we have a whole strategic level, which passes down at department and then individual level in development, content, sales, operations, marketing and finance. And these are the things that are going to help us achieve these things. Then underneath that, there's the values. Values is the how we go about that strategy and objectives. Coca-Cola said, our values serve as a compass for our actions and describe how we behave in the world. Samuel J. Palmisano, who was the chairman, president and CEO of IBM, a very full role, he said, when IBMers have been crystal clear and united about our strategies and purpose, it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish and create. When we've been uncertain, conflicted, or hesitant, we've squandered opportunities and even made blunders that would have sunk smaller companies. In this time of great change, we needed to affirm IBM's reason for being. What sets the company apart? And what should drive our actions as individual IBMers? So we're rolling up our sleeves to bring IBM's values to life in our policies, procedures, and daily operations. Clearly, leading by values is very different to some kinds of leadership demonstrated in the past by business. It is empowering, and I think that's much healthier. Rather than burden our people with excessive controls, we are trusting them to make decisions to act based on values they themselves shaped. To me, it's also just common sense. In today's world where everyone's so interconnected and interdependent, it is simply essential that we work for each other's success. We have to take personal responsibility for all our relationships with our clients, colleagues, partners, investors, and the public at large. I'd also like to give you a quote from Tim Cook. Tim Cook took over from Steve Jobs as the CEO of Apple, pretty difficult, tough act to follow, and he talked about values and said, we believe that we're on the face of the earth to make great products, and that's not changing. We are constantly focusing on innovating. We believe in the simple, not the complex. We believe that we need to own and control the primary technologies behind the products we make and participate only in markets where we make a significant contribution. We believe in saying no to the thousands of projects so that we can really focus on the few that are truly meaningful and significant to us. We believe in deep collaboration and cross-pollination of our groups that allow us to innovate in ways others cannot. And frankly, we don't settle for anything less in every part of our company. We have the self-honesty to admit when we're wrong and the courage to change. And I think regardless of who is in what job, these values are so embedded in this company that Apple will do extremely well. So vision and values are what we stand for as a company. What makes Epoch Epoch? Now, 12 of us spent a day discussing values based on feedback from a staff survey. And then the senior managers refined them, and a group of people forming our vision team refined them further. What did we come up with for Epoch's values? Continuous improvement, being driven to continuously improve and innovate in what we offer our customers and how we manage our business. Commitment to quality, caring deeply about what we do, setting our standards high and striving to be the best, building into our services a level of quality and value that will earn the loyalty of our customers. Teamwork, actively helping and supporting each other across the business, being respectful, listening, having open communication, which is not something we normally have a problem with, collaborating and appreciating. Exceptional service, making customers feel we will help them in a warm, friendly and professional way. Actively finding out what customers want and then consistently trying to deliver it. Integrity, being open, honest and transparent. Holding ourselves to the highest ethical standards that will earn the trust of others. But each department in the company will interpret these values slightly differently. And this afternoon we're going to start working on that translation process. Why? I've asked myself that question about Latin dancing many times. And for me it was about challenge and something to do in the long winter months when I didn't want to be outside. I couldn't be playing softball. I thought, what am I going to do? Well, maybe I'll try dancing. Seems like an interesting thing to do. For Epoch, I think it's about two things: focus and change. I think everyone here acknowledges that in the past, Epoch has struggled with focus. The vision is about bringing more focus to what we do. It's a sort of guiding light, helping us to decide on what we should do and how we should do it. You can row a boat much faster if everyone is pulling in the same direction. Everyone in Epoch knowing how what they do links to the company's goals and objectives is what this is really about. There's been a number of studies on vision, and they've clearly shown that successful companies have well implemented vision and values. Why now? Well, this is one of the most hotly debated slides in my presentation, and I'll be honest with you, there are some people that thought I shouldn't show this. So what you'll see is that we had a really growth period for a few years, and then for the last 4, our turnover, this blue line here, has been fairly static. Our profit, which peaked in 2010, has steadily gone downhill, although I'd like to emphasise that that's largely a result of our investment in direct law and then My Lawyer. Otherwise, our core business, pretty stable. We wouldn't be making a loss this year. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm hoping your arms haven't gone to sleep yet. The question is, how many people in this room would like to be earning more salary or bonuses? Because I know I certainly would. Well, of course we would. The problem is that this level of financial performance doesn't enable that, let alone give a good return to our shareholders. And I need your help to change that. I need your help because I can't do this alone. I could beat around the bush and give you all sorts of reasons why we should be putting in place new vision and values now. But the truth of the matter is, as a group of people, we want to be getting the best return for our time and effort in the company that we can. Hopefully we want the company to be a success, but individually we want to feel successful in our roles, and we need the company to be successful to enable that. Now, most good businesses have a 5-year plan. This is the start of our new plan to do things better the next 5 years than we did the last 5. 5 years ago we had 8 staff, now we have 38 staff. That's a big change. I think it would be very foolish to think that the company can still work the same way it did 5 years ago when we only had 8 people. So we need to change with it too. Now when you look back, and I know Graham and Richard and I will share this from our dark times in 2001, a lot of companies have gone by the wayside, even in the last 5 years, which have been very tough times economically, and we are still here. And that is a tribute to our endurance and our hard work that we've put into this company, which has been outstanding. But successful businesses constantly evolve. And this is the next phase of our evolution. Because quite frankly, there are huge opportunities out there in the legal services market now. People are starting to advertise on TV. The market's just starting to hot up. So we need to carry on doing the many things that we already do very well, stop doing the sorts of things that hurt us, and start doing some things that will help improve the way the business works. Vision and values are really fundamentals of operating a successful business. So this is something we feel we should look at now to help us grow and be the catalyst to give us that extra competitive edge, just like it did for Apple and many other successful businesses. So I said this is the start of a new 5-year plan, and I thought it might be a good time to celebrate and say goodbye to the last decade. Now 5 years ago we were only turning over £900,000. In 2012 we turned over 2.7 million. It's good growth. 2002 we only had £87,000 of cash in the bank. That was not a huge amount. By the end of last year we had just under £500,000, which is a lot more comfortable. Our net assets, that's the entire worth of the company, was only £28,000 in 2002. I mean, basically we were worth very little, pretty much nothing. By the end of last year we were worth just under £800,000. Our profit in 2002 was actually better than it was last year, so it's £29,000 versus £17,000. You think, well, that's a retrograde step. But let me tell you, what we were paying ourselves and our staff in 2002 was not generous salaries. So at least hopefully we're closer to market rate now. And our staff have grown from 8 to 35 over that time. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane as well. Some people will remember this better than others. But for our older staff, we'll remember Direct Law Mark 1 in 2000. And Desktop Lawyer and the Desktop Lawyer affiliates. In 2002, More Than were our first institutional client, which was actually at the start of More Than launching as a brand. Before that, they were just Royal & Son Alliance. Then we had Law Assure, which was the forerunner to the service that we ended up doing for RBS, which was Risk Remedy. Research and Development Tax Credits. So not many people will remember that, but actually this was a scheme that's still going, that HMRC run, where you can get subsidised for research and development spend. And we applied to have that on our staff time for Rapidocs. We got awarded it. And it really helped keep the business running between 2001 and 2003. Without that money, we would have had some severe problems. So we do have to thank the government for that. Then there was a little bit of boom in identity theft, which made us some very good money for a number of years before it went out of fashion as well. And I remember Graham's prophetic words saying, this isn't going to last for long, but I guarantee we're going to make some good money from this for a good few years. And he was right. Now, before we had the current version of Rapidocs, there were 2 predecessors for it. There was a desktop version of Rapidocs. In the very old days, you used to have to download an application to your desktop and open it up, and you'd create your Rapidocs document in that. And then it got superseded by Rapidocs J, which was our first attempt of people being able to create Rapidocs documents online. And then in 2006, a fairly major event, Michael put £1 million into the company, and that heralded a period of slightly greater and faster change, winning a whole new load of clients like Halifax, RBS, Barclays, AA and Saga. We had Rapidocs 4, which was a long time in development, trying to get Rapidocs into any web browser, making it work in any web browser. Then there was the Rapid Backend and the Rapidocs editor in the last couple of years. 2007 and 2008 saw a huge amount of work on what everybody now knows as LE, but Paolo didn't sleep for a couple of years putting that together. And then there was Elks 2, which followed on very shortly afterwards. All but about probably 6 people in this room, maybe 7, will have started with the company. since 2000, at the end of 2007. Our new offices that we're now in, we're just coming up to our 3rd anniversary in those offices in Edgware. We had our record profit in 2010 of £273,000, and around that time Direct Law 2 launched, and we signed up over 70 law firms. Of course, more recently, there's been a huge amount of time and effort developing and refining My Lawyer 2 and the test marketing activity that we've run. We've had quite a good industry profile as well. Since 2010, we've been represented and spoken at over 50 external industry events and been featured in over 60 press articles. Of course, Rich has helped shape the industry in terms of involvements in various working parties, most particularly ABSs. And then perhaps most recently, and I would say a fairly big achievement for us, was creating the legal advice and call centre in Hinckley. I wonder what we're going to be looking back on in 2018. So what does the vision and values mean in practice? Well, Make Law Easy is a guiding light. Does what we do fit with it? Likewise, the 5 in 5. Does what we're doing strategically make a significant contribution to that goal? The values are there to help focus every department in the company and every employee on key things that will help us achieve our goal. If you're doing them already, great. Do them more or do them better. Our session when we looked at values and the staff survey seemed to suggest most people thinking we had room for improvement in a number of areas. My personal opinion, there's always another level to go to. The goal, vision and values are meant to be challenging, and they will require a change to the way we think. It's not a cold corporate thing. This is a shared responsibility to make Epoch work. And that is what teamwork is about. Now, I want to digress for a second and talk about my role in all of this. Now, I used to think leaders were the sort of people who made a business succeed. By force of their intellect and sheer charisma, they could make it work. Now, this year I've been fortunate enough to spend some time on a senior executive programme at Ashridge College, and I've learned that's not the case. Which is perhaps fortunate for me because I'm not sure I'd be winning any competitions in either charisma or intellect. A CEO is accountable to shareholders, and it's my job to make sure we as a group hit our objectives. But it isn't my job to actually do them. If this was dancing, I would be the dance coach and you would be the dancers. God help you. I'd love us all to dance a little bit better. Because it's people that make a difference in business. If people improve, the business improves. So this only works if people make it work. And that's not the person to your right or the person to your left. It's everybody in this room. So I thought I'd give you some examples of what implementing the vision looks like. My Law is a great example of that, because the number of sales we do was linked to the website user journey, which required huge amounts of continuous improvement and massive amounts of teamwork. But how much we sold was also linked to how easy our legal content was to complete, which was about quality. It was also very much to do with how good our customer service is, which was about service excellence, and how transparent and honest we are as a brand, which was about integrity. Overall, My Lawyer was really the embodiment of what we're trying to stand for as a company, which is Make Law Easy. Now, there are lots of examples where working on values helps make the business better, except perhaps we never thought of them as values-based initiatives before. De-stressing legal services. How much could we do across the business to help with that? Quality. So making our legal content easier to use is linked to how much we sell. But for our institutional clients, it's linked to getting good scores on our customer surveys. Indirectly, the quality of our content actually helps us keep clients like More Than, which is pretty important to our business. And I can tell you one thing, our key clients, our key contacts at clients and potential new clients always try our content. but how much easier to use could it be with a little bit more effort? Continuous improvement. Can we innovate better to generate more revenue? Or working on the stability of our web and document automation infrastructure to improve our quality? Or improve at how we market and sell our services? How much difference could that make to us? Now this year there's already been quite a few initiatives around teamwork. The departmental managers spending some time together off-site working together. The directors have also been working with a consultant to improve at how we communicate with each other and with the business. Then there's the content and Rapidocs teams coming together under one manager, another example of a team working initiative. And service excellence, the enormous amount of time and effort that went into the training and then the delivery of that at Hinckley to make sure our customers got excellent customer service. Another really good example of a values-based initiative. So what changes tomorrow? The new vision is not an overnight job. We have a 5-year goal. The values will take time to embed. This is years, not weeks. This afternoon, the department's going to look at how we can use the vision and values to improve the way you do things. Going forward, Make Law Easy will be a guide for what we do, and the values will be part of how we do things and drive various departmental initiatives. So just to recap on the pyramid, we have our core purpose, Make Law Easy. And what we're trying to do, well, we're trying to make £5 million profit in 5 years' time. And to do that, well, we'll be de-stressing legal services. We'll be promoting access to law. We'll have the leading brands out there. Our customers will be feeling more secure and protected as a result. And our staff will be feeling rewarded, challenged and inspired. And how are we going to go about that? Well, we've got a whole load of departmental strategy and objectives to go and achieve that. In marketing, operations, institutional sales, legal content development and financially. And then how do we go about achieving those strategy and objectives? Well, we're using the values. We're going to be delivering exceptional service. We're going to be acting with integrity. We'll be working together as a great team. We'll be committed to quality and to continuous improvement. And Terry Leahy was the former CEO of Tesco's. Now, Tesco's, a long time ago, were a fairly middling supermarket. Under his tutelage, he grew them to be a powerhouse food retailer, the leading supermarket chain in Europe. He talked about values and said, it takes a generation. We've had to completely change the way we manage. What's important is that you live the values. They have to be central to the way you manage in order to affect processes and people. It's been evolution, not revolution. But it's been rapid evolution. So whilst I'm quoting, I have a couple more I wanted to share. Some people say to me that our lack of greater success is something that's out of our hands. Well, it's the state of the market. I disagree with that personally, and so did Benjamin Disraeli. He said we're not creatures of circumstance, we're creators of circumstance. And Margaret Mead, who's an American cultural anthropologist, she built on that theme. And she said, never doubt a small group of thoughtful citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So back to dancing. What the hell happened to my vision? Well, you'll either be pleased or disappointed to know that I will not be demonstrating my hip action today. And it was a hip action honed by many hours of my dance teacher screaming and shouting at me. It was not a pleasant experience. But just to show some evidence of turning vision into reality and show how possible it is, I thought I'd show you a photo taken in full lycra at a dance competition. And after the pain of getting my chest waxed, why wouldn't I want to show it off?